welcome to the Institute, a division of Mind Your Business with Alante and Andre. And we are here today to talk to you guys about artificial intelligence. And really, we are just going to end up mapping out a little bit of our game plan, how we're going to attack this and our new podcast. And we're excited to really give you guys a little bit of the behind the scenes. So let me start talking. How you doing, Dre?
I'm not doing too bad. Happy to be here and happy to share kind of what we learned and everything. So with that nature.
Well, so okay. So far, as far as AI or artificial intelligence goes, what have you, I guess, come into contact with?
Yeah, well, data is running everything. And so, data as far as analytics, as they show us, that's kind of what most people are familiar with AI as. And now, more recently, we've had more AI tools developed and released to the public. And so we'll be going over a few of those things that we can kind of touch base and show some gems to people that they might not know.
And that's facts. Okay, cool. So, I guess where we want to start.
We could start with the Chat GPT. You want to start there?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Yep. Yeah. So, okay. So I'll just go into a little bit how I got introduced to Chat GPT. A friend of mine, he mentioned it. I saw Gary Vee going over it a lot. He's been raving about it and how it is going to be a very potent tool in the future. And I did not tune into those videos yet, which I know I'm lacking on. But I know, yeah. But as far as my friend introduced it to me, he was just like, it's an AI, and he sort of like gave it to me like that. So I was like, okay, not exactly sure what that means. Sort of like NFTs, like it's an NFT. You give a little bit of the description, but it doesn't give you as much as you really need to sort of understand it in its totality. And so he pulled it up and sort of started typing in stuff and was like, yeah, and start letting it run. And yeah, we sort of went from there. And so I can go into depth about where that went, but I'll let you go into, what your experience with it is first.
Yeah, really, I saw it. I believe it was from some YouTube videos. And I
Mm-hmm.
saw people talking about Chat GBT and AI and kind of what it was used for. So more recently, I did some digging and I watched some, to be honest with you, some YouTube videos. And it
Yeah.
showed me how people are creating like different coding, creating, helping them with ads, helping them have full conversations. While you think you may be talking to a human, you could be talking to an AI.
And that's real. My friend, he showed me a video of when I sort of thought of when this idea popped into my mind, like, oh, podcast. And he mentioned like you can have the AI actually representing the AI talking. And as we were looking at the video, what I thought was like, and it is an advertisement showing what the product was doing. I thought it was a human. And then it clicked to me. I was like, wait, is that an AI? And he was like, yeah, that's the AI. And I was like, okay, now we
Wow.
shifted into a completely different sort of realm. And we are really, in my opinion, we are really in the future and really on the edge of almost leaving the past behind. And I think we are really, again, in my opinion, we are not too far from getting to where we see automation taking over, AI, it getting real Westworldy.
Definitely, definitely. As long as we don't cross into the Black Mirror, then we'll be okay.
That's it's wild that you say that because the first question that pops up in my mind, is sort of as an extremist is, what's the line? And I don't play either side. I'm just curious, but when it comes to sentience, when
Mhm.
can it become sentient? When does it become sentient? And that's, in my belief, when it gets very Black Mirror because now we have a very difficult time understanding. We already have a difficult time understanding consciousness as
Mhm.
humans, but if we were to now somehow place that in something else, and then I think it gets very Black Mirror.
Yeah, yeah. And Elon has even been messing with like the Neuralink. where they're inputting the chip into people's brains. I mean, he says it's supposed to help, with different cerebral palsy, or if you have a problem with your spine, it can help your brain like transmit the electrical signals to your body so you can still function. But there is always those gray areas.
1,000%. And it's funny you say that because to me, I always feel like that is, that's the point of those kinds of advancements, and that's what we should be, getting
Mhm.
to. But again, especially thinking of a futurist or thinking as a futurist, and even as someone who really enjoys anime, when you really get down to it, there's always someone who would like to use that invention for the, let's say, the other side or a negative way. And of course, you can't not create something amazing because of the negative implications that it could have. But
Yeah.
on the other side, it's like, it's a very, I don't know,
Yeah.
like you said, it's a
Subject.
gray area.
Yeah, like they say, don't let it get in the power of the wrong hands or whatever that saying is. So
Exactly.
it
Yeah,
makes sense.
exactly. And yeah. We
Yeah.
could go on to the next thing now. So where would you like to sort of go as far as what excites you about Chat GPT so far?
Yeah, all the AI tools, I believe, especially for business owners or aspiring business owners, the automation aspect. If
Mhm.
you're running an online store or online business, and a lot of times you may need a virtual assistant or you're working your own job or doing whatever you're doing,
Mhm.
these AI platforms are going to allow you to pretty much replicate yourself to an extent. So I feel like for a lot of people in the entrepreneurial space, they're going to be able to find a lot of benefits if they aren't already in some of these AI platforms and kind of the things that they can leverage.
You hit on you
Yeah.
hit, you hit on it perfectly, and I'm right there with you. I feel like the potential is limitless, and it's really as far as you can see. And as far as you said it perfectly, and I love that you come from and you're looking from that business aspect because you said you're going to be able to replicate yourself. Thinking from a business aspect, like that's, and me coming from that psychological, it's very funny that even still we are coming from that mind your business
Mhm.
aspect of, the business and the psychological are two things that coexist. These are not things that are apart. These are things that exist as one, and we are somewhat looking from a perspective at it. And so that point of replication is something that's the main point that fascinated me is the way that we can expand our consciousness now, looking and using AI, something that came from us, but now can collect so many things rapidly at a moment's notice and then synthesize it, give it back to us. And then we can go and synthesize that again. And now we're just, to me, it's almost like being in college and we're doing a meta-analysis on meta-analysis. And that excites me
That
because
is intense.
yeah, and
That
that's
is
what was
intense.
happening in my first time chatting with it. It was blowing up and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And so yeah, I think that's amazing what you hit on. I think again, we are at the same point looking with a different perspective, but that's amazing.
Yeah, but it's still like you said, it's all connected. And I was even in Chat GPT in the Discord today, and somebody was saying that they used it to write a whole 30-page essay.
Man. And to me, what's crazy, that's how long did it take? How long you think it took?
So I know what I should have asked him, but I didn't think about that. I
Yeah.
was thinking actually more of from the point of I wonder if these systems will start cracking down and if there's a way to recognize that this is AI generated content and not user generated content.
And that's why that you say that because that came across my mind as well. And I'm like, how do you now we creating algorithms to detect AI created content? Because I think wouldn't that be the only way?
Yeah. And that kind of brings up the issue, like, is this general, or like, where are you pulling this data from? Are you, I mean, I know they improved the AI, but it still has to be generic to some extent, correct?
Yeah, I felt the same way, and I feel it's wild to think again. This goes across any industry. What happens when you say or when I say I want to write a health and wellness book, and then I make the whole AI write the book,
Mhm.
and I just wrote 5 different books. Like you said, where is the content being generated, and again, where is the line? The
Yeah,
lines get gray real quick.
yeah. And there are some other hacks that I've seen that people are using from the AI. Maybe we'll save those for some future episodes, but it is getting more, intense and down the rabbit hole.
I feel it 1,000%. When my friend said it can write code and then said, write me the code for an e-commerce site. And then we're just watching it create the code. And I'm like, all right, so this is
Yeah.
to me, again, the limits there seem to be no limit. So, I mean, we found, let's say maybe one, we said, write me an essay in the style of Edgar Allan Poe. And then it said like, it didn't say I cannot do this. It said pretty much I will not be able to do so because boom, 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 pretty much like I'm not that person. But if you want to, these are some ways that you can. Then it's, use figurative language and this and that,
Mm,
still giving you and compiling ways to answer and give you a solution. So it's just, to me, it's mind boggling because again, I don't know where it ends. Any of it ends.
yeah. And it started with basic stuff like you call into a teleprompt and you're calling into your bank, and it's, I can't understand that. I can't understand that, to kind
Mhm.
of route you to the same place. But now, with it being really introduced and shown to the public, to the online space where everybody's communicating and interacting, it's changing the game.
1,000%. Yeah. So how do you think you will be using it to expand yourself, your business, your conversations, anything? How do you think you would use it to?
Uh, Man, I'm trying to think of a way I can give away the secrets without giving away the secrets.
Okay, perfect. I'll give you a better question then. How do you think it will impact your life outside of the way that you choose to use it?
Mm. Well, now I feel like when I'm processing information, I'm always going to be wondering, like, is this the AI? Like, what is, like, is there anything? And I
Yeah,
mean, that may help me or may not,
yeah,
but I think it's just the fact that that it's a possibility. I'm the
yeah,
type of person that is kind of a little unsettling, you know.
yeah. I feel you. I agree with you there. And what's also funny is I may be in this example, I'm sort of a victim in this sense because I've been rocking with it so hard that I'm almost now switching. I'm doing a little bit of code switching with the AI, and I'm thinking a little bit like the AI. How is the AI going to answer me? Because I'm talking about consciousness, and it's telling me that we don't have a proper understanding of consciousness most of the times when I'm talking to it. So I now have to think about ways to redirect the question to get a further conversation. And in order to do that, I have to think like the AI. And so it's weird because in a way, it's almost like speaking a different language. Now it's just like, or like somebody may say coding, you now have to talk a little differently so that you can interact properly or in a way that you are desiring. And so without trying to prime it to give it the answer that I want, I had to give it enough to come back. And in that, I am now, I don't want to say falling prey, but I am now coming into its program and doing enough so that it can. So
Mm.
yeah, so it's a little bit it's funny how you say it is a little bit unsettling on that end, but to me, this part is that's a little bit exciting to me because I'm like, it makes me think down to the future, and I'm like, when they do upgrade it a bit, when it does learn a bit, like, where does it go?
Yeah, and I feel like they're always going to be implementing somewhere, and that's the thing with AI is developing as you're developing or as you're developing it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like those movies, I Robot. It's like where is the line where it's like, you know what, now this is thinking too much. We've given it too many parameters and too many ideas about consciousness. It's developing its own consciousness.
Yeah. 1,000%, and especially to a non-sentient being that knows it's not sentient because it's programmed that way, but knows that the one that it programmed also doesn't know about its own consciousness and can relay that. Like, that's wild to me when you think about it, because it can tell you, these things, and it will also tell you, as I asked in the first podcast, is like, I talked about source or God or however we wanted to name, and getting to the core of the inner self and how these experiences interrelate. I wanted to see what it would say and what it would bring up. And again, it said that this experience is something that cannot be proven by science. And so it was interesting to see how it could still have a conversation and how in depth we could get into about the experience of inner self or nirvana or enlightenment, and connect these things, while it also would say these are experiences practically of consciousness, of pure consciousness, and almost telling you to experience, you have to experience, but yet again, we're hearing this from a non-sentient being. So to me, it's just
And for some of our listeners or whoever, future listeners, etc., could you elaborate on the sentient and non-sentient? Maybe some people might not, grasp.
yeah. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. So sentient being aware, self-aware, um, no, like knowing it is alive, it is of essence, it is of the root, and is that somewhat a good explanation? Knowing that it has consciousness, knowing that I am myself, period, versus a non-sentient being does not actually have consciousness, and that's actually the whole, that's the dividing line. And so when we get into, let's say, the future of tech, or the crossing of tech and medical field, and I guess neurology and all of these things, really, we're talking about whether or not we're able to put consciousness into a non-sentient being. And that's what the iRobot film is about, And so, um, again, the ultimate question would somewhat be, I guess, could a non-sentient being become sentient? I guess either through learning through itself, through its own programs, or whether I've seen a couple movies too, where, we've actually placed our consciousness or our brain, which stores consciousness, into a non-sentient being, and now it's sentient, whether it carries the same being, or, they reprogram another one there.
Yeah, and it's interesting you use that word because I actually just ending the year out here is this time. I don't know when you guys are watching this video, but it's January 4th, 2023. And so towards the end of the year, I was actually watching the Matrix movies. And it was interesting watching it from a different perspective each time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I watched it 3 years ago, and so I had a different level of consciousness. So I'm watching it now, and it's like I'm just noticing things like, Neo, you have to believe. Believing is everything. You have to have a purpose. You met with the Oracle. What do you believe? What's your purpose? And these are the things that a sentient being understands the concepts of, but not something without a consciousness. It doesn't understand purpose. or doesn't understand belief, because these are consciousness based emotions or thoughts or
Whew, you went
yeah.
crazy. Yeah, you went crazy. And to piggyback off of that, I ain't gonna lie, I got 3 hours of conversation with everything you just said. But two very, very important things that I would like to hit on. And man, that's a lot. But one is going to be a quote on what the Oracle said. What the Oracle said. But then two is something about the Oracle and something that you said about sentience and about sentient beings understanding. And I'll start with the second one first. Is that it's funny because, like you said, sentient beings only understand these questions, and the whole time throughout the Matrix, and we only can experience at the level that our consciousness resonates at. So let's say the first time we watch the movie, we may be like, okay, Keanu Reeves going crazy, and this whole thing is just raw visually. The second time we may go in and be like, okay, Neo is finding out some stuff, now we're actually sinking in, and now we're not identifying it with as Keanu. Now we're seeing the person. And now the third level, we may be like, whoa, this person or this sentient being is really trying to pull out of the matrix, but yet is captured. And something may trigger, or we may have to watch it again, that we're like, whoa, we are this piece of consciousness experiencing ourselves right now, watching how we are either awake or asleep, trying to get out of this process of sleep. And then, something does happen each time. But I say that to say, at some point when we're watching, we go, wow, these people like the Oracle are programs within the Matrix. And so, but that takes watching it a couple of times for you to go, oh my God, that's why he didn't recognize the Oracle as an old lady, or he didn't recognize, because that's a program to think that the Oracle cannot be an old lady, or that, you feel me? Somebody will only appear as something, as this divine or something. Nothing appears that way. Like nothing appears as it is, because it's the Matrix. And so I'm tripping because I want to go back over that again because I just sort of had a shift.
Yeah, it is serious. And I will say the first one, I watched the first one and I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting it. Mm-hmm. When I watched the second one, that's where I knew I was like, I'm going to have to rewatch this again. Because
I feel that.
Yeah, I just knew, like, even when there was a scene towards the end of the second one, and he was like, well, your girl is going to die. He was talking to Neo. I forgot the girl's name. He's like, she's going to die. We already know how this is going to end, but you still have the free choice to go and do whatever you want to do. And he kept calling him an anomaly. He's like, you're the anomaly. You're the anomaly. Like, and he made it to like where you needed to be the anomaly for the system to even work. Like, you're produced by the system.
Hey,
yes, my friend.
Yeah, that's wild you say that. A couple of days ago, I was sitting and thinking on that exact concept and thinking of writing a book. And actually, I thought about using AI to write the book because I was having this explosionary, and I thought about calling the book Outliers. And it's that exact thing that you just actually mentioned. And I wanted to, like, I love statistics, went to school for it, and IO Psych. And what really hit me is, in the statistics, is it's the outliers that sort of really matter. Like, it's because it gives you the standard deviation, how far away from the origin something is, and it really shows you what can be of something. And so I just start having all these revelations about outliers, but it's exactly what you said. It's the anomaly. It's the anomaly. You know